Karen slapped my black son. In a public park. In front of other children. And she thought she could walk away like nothing happened. What she didn't know. My mother, his grandmother, is a Supreme Court judge. And trust me, Karen picked the wrong family. It happened on a Saturday afternoon. Blue skies. Kids screaming with joy on the swings. I remember thinking it was finally a peaceful day. My 10-year-old son, Malik, had been through a rough week at school. Kids picking on him. Teachers ignoring it. I just wanted him to feel free. Safe. Like a kid again. But Karen didn't care about any of that. She said Malik was being aggressive when he accidentally bumped into her grandson during a game of tag. They were just kids. Just running. Laughing. My son even apologized. But she didn't care. She stood up from the bench like she was on some kind of mission. Walked straight to Malik. And with the back of her hand, she slapped him. Right across the face. The entire playground went silent. Even the swings seemed to stop. Malik froze. His lip quivered. And I felt my chest cave in. But I didn't run over. Not yet. I wanted to know what kind of woman thinks she can hit a child, a black child, and act like she's the victim. It started off like the kind of Saturday we always hoped for. No school. No work. Just fresh air, sunshine, and time to be a family. Malik had begged me all week to take him back to the park on 12th and Jackson. It's his favorite one, the one with the tire swings and the dinosaur-shaped slide. He said, "Mom, it's the only place where I feel fast." I laughed when he said that. My boy's never been one to brag, but that park. It made him feel like a superhero. We packed snacks, some juice boxes, and even brought his little sketch pad in case he wanted to draw in the grass. I remember thinking how grown up he was getting. 10 years old going on 20. Still gentle. Still sweet. But with a mind that's sharper than most adults I know. We got there just before noon. The sun was warm, not too hot. Families everywhere. White, black, Hispanic. Moms chasing toddlers, dads throwing frisbees. I remember thinking, this is the America I want Malik to grow up in. There was a little birthday party happening near the big oak tree. Balloons, cupcakes, the whole deal. Malik waved to some kids he recognized from school. I sat on a bench with my iced coffee, finally breathing for the first time all week. And then, that's when I first saw her. Karen. She sat stiff on the opposite bench, sunglasses on even though she was in the shade. Arms crossed. That permanent scowl some people wear like a badge. Next to her, a boy, probably her grandson, sat on a scooter, staring at Malik and the other kids. They weren't doing anything wrong. Just running around, playing tag. Laughing. Until Malik tagged the scooter boy and said, "You're it." Simple. Harmless. The kid didn't even look upset. But Karen? She sat up like she just caught someone robbing a bank. She didn't yell right away. She just stood. Slowly. Deliberately. Like she was trying to control the rage bubbling under her skin. That's when I felt it. The shift in the air. The way you know a storm's about to hit, without a cloud in the sky. I put my coffee down. I stood up. Something told me this woman wasn't about to handle things the way a normal adult would. I wish I'd been wrong. But that slap was coming. And nothing, not the sunshine, not the laughter, not even the innocence of a 10-year-old boy, was going to stop her. She walked across the grass with her heels stabbing into the dirt like she was punishing the earth itself. Every step of hers sent a chill down my spine. I knew that kind of energy. Entitled. Angry. Ready to explode, and looking for someone to blame. Malik was still playing, unaware. He laughed, spinning around to dodge a tag, when Karen grabbed him by the shoulder. "Don't you dare touch my grandson again!" she barked, loud enough for half the park to hear. Malik looked up, startled. "I was just playing," he said, his voice soft, confused. "He was it." She didn't let him finish. Karen leaned in. Her face was twisted in rage. You kids are always acting wild. No respect. No manners. And before anyone could react, she slapped him. Right there. In the open. In front of at least a dozen parents and children. A white woman slapping a 10-year-old black boy for playing tag. Time stopped. Malik stumbled back, one hand on his cheek. His eyes went wide with shock. Not just pain, but betrayal, the kind that scars deeper than skin. He didn't understand. I could see it in his face. He hadn't done anything wrong. No one moved. No one spoke. I walked over. My blood was boiling, but my voice, somehow, stayed calm. Did you just put your hands on my son? Karen turned to me like I was the one causing the scene. Your child assaulted mine, she spat. I was defending my family. Her grandson stood behind her, clearly embarrassed, eyes darting around like he wished he could disappear. Grandma, he didn't. Be quiet, she snapped at him. I saw what I saw. I wanted to scream. But I didn't. Because something stronger than rage took over, resolve. You hit a minor, I said, staring her dead in the eye. You just committed assault. Karen scoffed. You people always make everything about race. Maybe if you taught your son not to act like a thug. That's when I felt my legs go weak. Because it wasn't just an attack. It was a racial insult. A slap followed by hate. And in front of my son. Malik was silent. Frozen. The tears hadn't fallen yet. He was holding them back, like he didn't want to give her the satisfaction. Around us, people started pulling out their phones. A few parents whispered. One woman shouted, You can't just hit someone's child. Karen turned red. Her posture shifted from aggressive to defensive in seconds. I have rights. That kid touched my grandson. He was threatening. He's 10, I said flatly. And you hit him. That's not discipline. That's abuse. She looked around, suddenly aware of how many cameras were recording. But what she didn't know, what she never could have imagined, was who she just picked a fight with. Because I wasn't alone that day. And Malik's grandmother? She was just a few minutes away. As the crowd murmured and Karen clutched her purse like she was the one being attacked, I reached into my bag and pulled out my phone. Not to call the police. Not yet. I dialed my mother. She answered on the second ring. You two still at the park? Her voice was warm, calm, exactly what I needed in that moment. Yeah, Mom, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I need you to come over. Something just happened with Malik. Silence. Then, I'm 5 minutes away. I didn't need to explain. She heard the tremble in my voice. The pain I was trying to swallow. She'd heard it before, in courtrooms, in civil rights cases, in moments when injustice boiled over. You see, my mother isn't just any woman. She's Justice Bernice Holloway, one of the youngest, and fiercest, Supreme Court justices in the state. But Karen didn't know that. She was still pacing in front of the crowd, now painting herself as the victim. She attacked me, she told one mom, pointing at me. Her son threatened my grandson. I was protecting a child. I'm the one being harassed now. The other woman gave her a look that could cut steel. Lady, you hit a 10-year-old. And now you're lying? Karen huffed and turned away. I'll have you all arrested for harassment. I know my rights. Oh, Karen. So many rights. So little understanding of consequences. That's when I saw the black SUV pull up near the curb. The door opened. And my mother stepped out. She was wearing slacks, heels, and a navy blazer with the official gold state pin glinting on her lapel. She looked like she just walked off a courtroom bench, and in fact she had. She had left a session early when she got my call. She moved with the kind of confidence that turns heads. Sharp. Controlled. Deadly. Malik saw her and finally broke. He ran into her arms and started crying, the silent kind. The one where the body shakes but no sound comes out. She held him tight. Her hand cradled his head as she looked at me. Her eyes narrowed. Who touched my grandson? I pointed. Karen, still mid-rant to someone recording her, turned around. Saw the woman holding Malik. Froze. My mother stepped forward. I'm Justice Holloway, she said, pulling out her identification. Supreme Court of State. I'd like to know why this woman put her hands on my grandson. Karen's jaw dropped. Literally. She stuttered. I didn't know. I didn't mean I thought he. You thought he was a threat? A 10-year-old playing tag? Karen went pale. My mom didn't raise her voice. She didn't have to. Her authority filled the space like thunder without the storm. You assaulted a minor, she continued, her voice like ice. Then hurled a racially charged insult in front of witnesses. And now you're playing the victim? Karen opened her mouth. But nothing came out. Not this time. My mother didn't shout. She didn't flinch. But when she spoke, the entire park went still again, this time not from shock, but from sheer presence. Karen stood there trembling, clutching her purse like it could protect her from the weight of what was about to hit her. And trust me, nothing could. Do you deny putting your hands on my grandson? My mother asked, cool and firm. Karen's voice cracked. He was threatening my grandson. I was just trying to protect him. By slapping a child? My mother replied. In front of dozens of witnesses? With multiple phones recording? You assaulted a minor, used racial slurs, and now you're trying to spin it as self-defense? Karen opened her mouth again, but there was nowhere left to run. No excuse left that could save her. My mom turned to one of the bystanders. Did anyone record what happened? Yeah, a young dad said, holding up his phone. Got the whole thing. Please send that to this number, she said, handing over her court-issued contact. And keep it saved. In case it's needed in court. Karen started panicking. Wait, court? You can't take me to court. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know who you were. My mother raised an eyebrow. And that would have changed your behavior? That you'd only have acted decently if you knew he came from a powerful family? That's not a defense. That's an admission. Someone in the crowd let out a soft oof. And then came the cherry on top. My mom turned to me and said, Call the police. Karen's eyes widened. Please don't. This is all a misunderstanding. I'll apologize. I'll do whatever it takes. But it was too late for that. When the officers arrived, they didn't even ask for details at first. They knew my mother. Recognized her immediately. Justice Holloway. One of them nodded. What's going on? She pointed to Karen. This woman assaulted my grandson. She struck him in the face during a playground game and used racially charged language. We have multiple witnesses and video footage. Karen tried to jump in. I didn't mean to. It was just, he startled me. The officer turned to her. Ma'am, please step aside. And just like that, Karen was read her rights. Right there. On the sidewalk. In front of everyone. In front of her grandson, who was now crying quietly behind the bench. The officers weren't aggressive. They were calm. Professional. But firm. And as they gently placed her hands behind her back and began reading the Miranda warning, you could feel the park exhale. A few people clapped. Others just nodded silently, satisfied. Not because someone was arrested. But because, for once, justice had arrived exactly where it needed to. Karen was escorted into the back of the squad car, mascara starting to run, eyes darting around in disbelief. Not at what she'd done, but at the fact that she wasn't getting away with it. Malik didn't say much on the ride home. He sat in the back seat, holding my mother's hand, staring out the window. His cheek was still red where she hit him, but that wasn't the part that hurt the most. It was the confusion. The shame. The silent question in his eyes, why me? We stopped for ice cream, even though none of us really had the appetite. It wasn't about the food. It was about giving him a moment of normal. A tiny slice of comfort after a day that could have broken a lesser child. Later that night, as I tucked him into bed, he asked, "Did I do something wrong?" I felt my throat tighten. "No, baby," I said, brushing his curls back. "You didn't do anything wrong. Some people, they're just filled with so much anger, they try to pass it on to others. But you don't have to carry that." He nodded, but I knew he was still wrestling with it. The next day, my mother called. Her voice was different. Softer. I'd seen her tear through courtrooms with a precision that left grown men shaking, but that morning she was just. "Grandma." She said something I'll never forget. "Justice isn't just about punishment. It's about reminding the world that some lines should never be crossed." Karen was charged with assault on a minor, as well as public disturbance. The video went viral within days. Not because of the slap, but because of the look on her face when she found out who she was dealing with. Her employer, a local real estate firm, terminated her contract. The school district banned her from all affiliated properties. And though my mother never gloated, she did receive a quiet apology from the State Bar Association for not acting sooner on prior complaints about Karen's behavior. But the real victory? Malik started drawing again. A week later, he brought me a picture he'd made, him on a playground, arms out like a superhero. And in the background, a tall woman in a robe and gavel, standing beside him. "That's Grandma," he said proudly. "She's like Batman, but in heels." I laughed. Then cried. Then hugged him harder than I probably should have. You know, in that moment I didn't feel angry anymore. I just felt grateful. Grateful that justice showed up. That Malik saw a world where his voice mattered. That even when people like Karen try to break us down, we rise louder. So if you're watching this and thinking, would it have been different if my mom wasn't a judge? Maybe. But that's why we keep sharing these stories. Because the more people speak up, the fewer Karens get away with it. And maybe one day, we won't need a badge, or a gavel, or a courtroom to remind the world. You don't mess with someone's child. Especially not ours. Don't forget to share this story if you've ever witnessed or experienced something similar. And if you're a mother, a father, or simply someone who believes in justice, leave a comment below. Karen may have thought she'd never get caught. But justice always has a way of showing up, at the right time, in the right place, and through the right people.